Well, hello, everybody. It's really great to see you all. My name is John Stewart. I'm the recently elected chair of UECNA. UECNA, as many of you will know, is a Europe-wide body of people impacted around different airports across Europe and indeed beyond by aircraft. We're a networking body. We also speak with the European Commission, and we have seats on some of the aviation bodies where we represent communities impacted by aviation and particularly by aviation noise. So it's great to see you all. And this will be recorded. So it's great to see those of you who will be watching later on. And I think it's good evening to everybody here, but it's probably good morning to those of you who I know will watch from Australia and probably South America. I will come back a little bit later on to chair the discussion session. There'll be plenty of time for discussion and questions. But right now, I'm going to hand over to Wouter Lohman, who is who's from the Netherlands and who is one of the board members of UECNA, to introduce proceedings. Wouter.
Thank you, John. Tackling noise pollution has been discussed before in previous UECNA webinars, and that always raised a lot of questions because everybody who experiences nuisances from aircraft is looking for solutions. And last year, the Netherlands appeared to be leading the way in this. If you think that you can only reduce air noise pollution by limiting the number of flights, then this must be done in accordance with international rules via the balanced approach in a European context. My fellow resident representative, Matt Pullmans, wanted to discuss this with you in a webinar because it requires quite a bit of explanation. And as residents, we regularly consult with our Minister of Infrastructure, that's Mark Harbert. We accidentally talked to him this afternoon too. And he told us that a number of European colleagues are also considering stricter rules for their airport. But they first want to wait and see whether the Netherlands will be successful. And I asked Mr. Harbers if support from foreign residents group could help him. And when I told him that we were having a webinar, he spontaneously offered his participation. And Helene Groot represents the ministry tonight, and she will elaborate on the balanced approach procedure and explain how far the Netherlands has come at the moment. And we're very happy to have her here. Welcome, Helene. But first, Matt Pullmans, who will tell you how we came into alignment with the ministry, because working with the government is not always self-evident in every country. Matt, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, as Walter told, we regularly have conferences with the minister, and we thought we could help him by explaining why a breakthrough is necessary in order to stop the problems with people have living near an airport.
Enorm.
Share screen for Matt, but I don't hear you anymore.
No.
Het is helemaal een droge mond.
Well, I'll tell you what we talked about with the minister. Schiphol is the first international airport that wants to downsize. That's a break from the past when growth was normal. But growth has led to a sharp increase in nuisance and complaints. The only solution is fewer flights. Even Schiphol thinks so. That's very important. The CIO of Schiphol is also in favor of a shrinking airport. The Dutch government agrees with us, and the mandatory notification has been done. We were going to wait for a delayed ruling, but we have 4 reasons to advocate a shrinking airport. Walter, could you go on?
Yes, I try. Oh shit! This is not so easy.
No, I lost the screen too.
Yes. Okay, this is number 2.
Got it.
So we gave the reasons why a shrinking airport is necessary. The first, please give the next sheet. In 2008, a national agreement was reached in the Netherlands, and it was concluded between aviation sector, regional authorities, and local residents in order to conditional growth of Schiphol. Schiphol could grow from 400,000 to 500,000 flights. But they had to shorten the distance and the nuisance. However, in 2018, 10 years later, it turned out that the noise had not ceased, even had grown to with 50%. That's why there was no extension of this agreement, and a legal vacuum also started. And the Dutch court in 2022 said that the government had to stop exceeding legal standards, which resulted in many lawsuits. Next, please. The question is reduction of flights on the airport, is it feasible? We think that when looking back in the past, fleet renewal and operational nuisance reduction failed. They didn't create less noise, but only gave displacement of noise. Then the question is, if it didn't work in the past, why should this work in the future? Aviation and not the environment restore the balance, which was broken. And actually, we could say in the Netherlands, downsizing Schiphol merely is surrendering wrongly enjoyed growth that was not deserved. And the possibilities to start this reduction were limit the function of hubs, fewer transfers, fewer flights, and also a night closure. And of course, if you close at night, then you shouldn't go with flights to the day. Please. Reduction is also indispensable. Netherlands is a very densely populated country. Health and quality of life is damaged by too much aviation. Without reduction of flights, housing construction, nature restoration, and climate objectives also cannot be achieved. A new system of regulating aircraft noise requires capacity limits, meeting also the HUO standards. And measuring noise levels and individual legal protection must be guaranteed. Only downsizing offers sufficient release, please. So the real balanced approach is, as you can see here, that when we talk about citizens with the airport, that there should be a diminishing number of flights. And the current cooperation in the Netherlands between the government and the residents focuses on restoring this disturbed balance between economic connectivity and social protection. So summarizing, there are a number of reasons why the only possibility to diminish, to have less noise is less flights. But the question is, how can that be advocated at the European Commission? And that's why the Dutch colleague present here will give you an insight in how it is done in the Netherlands. Thank you.
Okay, then the next is Helene.
And it's always good to find the right button to switch the noise on. Thank you for having me here tonight. And I'd like to say bonsoir, buonasera, guten Abend, kalispera, good evening, goedenavond, buenas noches. That's as far as I'm concerned, that's about the languages that I do know. And I saw the people coming from different countries. I'm very honored to be here with you tonight and to give a short report on what we are doing with the balanced approach on Schiphol Airport. My colleague, I'm a bit of a digital dinosaur, I'm sorry for that, but my colleague Erik will click through the slides. So Erik, if you would like to put the next slide on, thank you. And the agenda, this is the agenda of what I would like to present to you, and afterwards I'm available for all sorts of questions that you might have. And I also have some other colleagues with me in this meeting who can answer all the questions that I do not know the answers on. So let me tell you something about the balanced approach procedure, or when do you have when is it applied? It's a European procedure covered by an EU regulation. But it's more than that. It's also part of different treaties between the European Union and the United States of America, and between the European Union and Canada, for instance, but also with some other countries. It's not always called a balanced approach procedure, but in principle, it's all the same. And this is about having a balanced, it's called a balanced approach procedure because it is about balancing different interests in a very open way, with also a lot of consulting of stakeholders, etc. And only after you have followed such a balanced approach procedure, you are entitled to take a decision like the one that we envisage for Schiphol Airport. The procedure prescribes several steps, and I will go into that in more detail afterwards. Let me start actually not by detailing all the steps of the balanced approach procedure, but by the Schiphol outline decisions. Why do we take this decision to diminish the number of flights at Schiphol Airport? Why do we see ourselves forced to do that, and why do we think this is a good decision? And then I have to take you back a bit in well, it's not ancient history, but about a year and a half back from now to 2022. We took the decision to reduce the impact on the environment of the airport, and that did not come out of the blue, and it is also not a decision that has been taken lightly. As much as I told you, Schiphol is situated in the most densely populated area in the Netherlands, and as the Netherlands are one of the most densely populated countries in the world, you can imagine that as a necessity, Schiphol is situated in one of the most densely populated areas in the world. And we envisage we have in the Netherlands various challenges that are interlinked, and they're environmental, they're in housing, they're in nature, they're in energy infrastructure, they're in mobility, and all these interests interlink and cause for the airport a situation where there is no juridical framework anymore. So Schiphol does not have a permit to operate at the moment, and is not able to get one on the number of flights that they operate today. So this is a situation that is very typical Dutch, I would say. We have regulation in place that is not handhaven.
Enforced.
Enforced. Thank you very much. Yeah, we have a regulation in place which is not enforced, and in a way, Schiphol has a sort of an illegal operation at the moment. So that's the background of the decision that we took in June 2022 to reduce the number of flights and to diminish the effect Schiphol has on its environment. Can I have the next slide? The Schiphol outline decision of 2022 foresees 3 steps, and the first step was the termination of the so-called anticipatory non-enforcement. So this is the situation where we are now, that we have regulation in place which is not enforced, and we wanted to stop that that illegal situation or that non-enforcement situation by half a year ago, so by winter 2023. And this step, so that was the first step of our three-phased approach. And this step has been postponed until Supreme Court ruling. As you can imagine, the airlines were very much not in favor of this step, and we saw them in court several times. And now we are before the Supreme Court, and we wait for their decision, which is expected by June or July of this year. The second step is the step that we talk about tonight. That's the balanced approach procedure for implementing these noise abatement measures. We are still in the middle of that procedure. I'll take you through that a bit more afterwards. And then we also have a step 3, a future system where we will have new standards for noise pollution, but also probably for other environmental aspects. But most important and most interesting for you tonight is the balanced approach procedure and the implementation of the noise abatement measures. We have taken noise abatement measures in the past, but we have not been able to, well, these measures were taken, but the complaints of the people living in the environment of the airport are still rising.
Helena, can I stop you for just 1 second?
Sure.
Can everybody mute themselves if they're not mute, apart from Helena, obviously? Can we don't want you to mute yourself, but can everybody else mute yourselves for now? Because there's, I think some people are getting quite a bit of background noise. That would be great if you could. Thanks very much. Sorry to interrupt, Helena. On you go.
No problem, no problem. Well, so we have taken different measures, but they didn't have the effect that we envisaged them to have, and that's where we are right now. Next slide, please. We have to follow the balanced approach procedure, which is prescribed by this European regulation. And this balanced approach procedure has different steps, mandatory steps that you have to take if you want to diminish, if you want to have a cap on the number of flights on a European airport. The steps are presented on this slide. You start with identifying a noise problem and formulate a noise abatement objective. And what we did in the Netherlands, we said we wanted a 20% reduction over the day, so that's 24-hour period, 20% reduction of noise pollution, and 15% in the night. And if you do that, you also have to start by, you have to have a baseline. So you have to have a baseline to be able to say, I want to have 20% less. So that's what we did in the beginning of our decision. So it's 20% compared to, and then we say the year that we invested to implement was 2024. So we said in 2024, we want to have 20% less noise over the day and 15% in the night. The next step then is that you organize technical sessions with relevant technical stakeholders. We had 3 of these after we had a sort of an opening meeting, and then afterwards we had 3 technical sessions. What we did was, because we have stakeholders from all over the world, also from Australia, as I just noticed that we also have today participants from Australia. We had webinars like this one. So we had 3 online meetings with basically with people from the aircraft industry and from airlines. Then we decided upon a package of measures to meet these 20% reduction, and we put them in a public consultation. And this public consultation is mandatory for 3 months, so everybody can have a look at it and can react on it. We had many reactions in this public consultation period, and afterwards, some of them we used to make our package of measures better. And in the end, we had a notification by at the European Commission, at the member states, and also third parties like the United States of America, which we put forward on the 1st of September last year. And then after that, a consultation phase, you might still call it the consultation phase, with the European Commission starts. That takes 3 to 6 months, depending on how many questions the European Commission has, and we currently are still in this notification phase with the European Commission. It's an intensive process. We have many meetings with the colleagues of the European Commission. They put forward many questions that we all answer, many discussions on how to interpret the regulation, but also how to interpret the measures and the package. And as we, well, in the beginning, we said we wanted to implement this package by November 2024, but as of today, we are still in the process of discussing with them. That means that we will not be able to implement it by November because of the capacity declaration procedure that also is one of the setting parameters in the air industry. So it will not be November 2024, it will be 2025, but when exactly, we don't know yet. That depends highly on the procedure of the European Commission. What we see when we are on this scale, we are the first country to have such a balanced approach procedure in such a on this scale at least. Yes, there are other countries that have followed a balanced approach procedure, but not with the aim that we have, namely to reduce 20% by today. And that also means that it is there is no other way to reach that goal than by reducing the number of aircraft movements. Well, it's a significant step. But there's a great resistance from sector parties with strong lobby, as you can imagine, and we have many court cases against what we are doing here, and there's many protests, and there's also many questions thereafter of the European Commission. Yeah, what else? Of course, Matt and Wouter are among the members of the what we call in Dutch the Maatschappelijke Raad Schiphol. That's the organization that from people in living in the environment of the airport. We discuss what we are doing in Brussels. We discuss with them as well. Our minister was with them today. I was there as well, and we try to explain as good as we can what we are doing. But also that there is it's a road with many we face many difficulties, and we could not have imagined at the beginning of this road how difficult it would be to come to a good end. But we are very hopeful and also very persistent in what we are doing. I think that's about it for now, and there are probably many questions, and we are happy to try to answer them as good as we can, John.
Helena, thank you very much indeed, and Matt as well. That was full of information, and you both kept it short and to the point, which is great, which leaves us a good half hour, 30 minutes for questions and discussion. I think one or two of you are on the phone. If you're on the phone and you want to speak, you just have to start speaking, really. But for everybody else, it would be ideal if you were to put up your virtual hand. If you can't do that, just put up your ordinary hand. There are a lot of people on the call, so I may not be able to see everybody, but Carlos, you coming in first, so on you go, my friend.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the interesting presentations. A question on the environmental aspects that you're going to be looking at. You've mentioned noise, but you've briefly mentioned other potential aspects. I wanted to know about air quality more specifically. If there are any regulations or any limits that will be enforced, and how are you approaching the air quality impacts of Schiphol on the local populations?
I don't know whether it's Helena or Matt want to take that. It's maybe Helena.
Yeah, I can say something about that. Yes, air quality is also one of the aspects that we look into. We have done several studies in the past few months on air quality and also on different aspects of air quality, so that it's CO2, but it's also please help me with my English. Fijnstof and ultrafijnstof, Matt, Wouter.
Ultrafine particles.
Ultrafine particles. Thank you very much. But it's not so easy to determine what percentage of the air pollution in the environment of an airport is coming from the airport itself, and what part is coming from other sources such as industry, such as other forms of mobility. So what we do right now is we have a study finished on it, which we foresee to have a contra expertise, and also Wouter and Matt are involved in looking into the methods to see what is the effect of the airport. But we look into it, we do not know exactly the effects yet. Matt, do you have anything to?
Well, as far as the balanced approach, it's only necessary when you want to reduce noise pollution. And so for the other problems at the airport, the balanced approach is not necessary, or not as the same.
That's true. Yeah.
Great. Carlos, do you want to come back at all?
No, thank you. It was mostly soft, so yeah.
Excellent, thank you. Right, Jos and then Elaine. Jos, welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks again for the presentation and the clarity. I have one very specific question, and that is related to the ambition of your noise abatement objectives. You said that during the day you want to reduce the noise by 20% and the night by 15%. I'm really struck about I would say the soft ambition behind it, because normally, people suffer most about noise at night, and one would expect at least that the objectives to reduce the noise, the nuisance at night, would be higher than reducing the noise at the day. But both of them are still very, very, I would say,
Mild.
Yes. So because this is, of course, this is linked also with political ambition. How much do we want to protect our people from the impact of the noise? So that's my question.
Yeah, I understand the question. Kai, my colleague Kai is also in the meeting, I think.
Yeah.
Kai, maybe you can say something about the
Yeah. Well, the objective was set actually quite a while ago, and as Helena already explained, it's been a trade-off between various public interests, and noise is one of them. But the ambition in the Schiphol outline letter is also to keep the Netherlands connected adequately with the rest of the world. So it's a balance between the environment and the surrounding of Schiphol Airport and the connectivity of the Netherlands with the rest of the world, actually. And the fact that the percentage on the day is higher than for the night is actually because it's also how it's measured. So the day is actually not only the day, but it's measured in LDEN, and DEN stands for day, evening, and night. So every measure we take during for the night is also part of the effect on the LDEN objective. It's a little bit technical explanation, but that's how it is. So yeah, basically it's just it's a product of the public trade-off between the connectivity of the Netherlands and the environment.
Thanks.
And I just want to link one more question, because you know these ambitions are known, are also public. You said there was a consultation process also involving communities, the people who were impacted. Were they particularly enthusiastic or rather disappointed about the objectives you set?
Let me answer that question. We were not, of course, satisfied with the ambitions of our minister at that moment, because we think we should go much further, also taking into account the World Health Organization's lower limits. But it was concluded that to take the first step, the goal go down should be sized down also. So as it's only a first step, and we want to go much further. As I said in the beginning, we want Schiphol to decrease from 500,000 flights to 400,000 flights, because the 100,000 have not been earned. But that would be the next step.
Okay.
Yeah, well, if I might add something, Matt, I think it's also what Helene explained. It's the first time a balanced approach procedure has been carried out for such a big airport. And indeed, what Matt says, it's actually quite a big first step to take this reduction in noise abatement. And Helene also said something about the phased approach. So we have step one, which was the termination of anti-terminal enforcement. Step two, the balanced approach procedure, and step three is our future system, how it was on the slides, which is norms based, and it's actually all environment norms, which are all to be getting smaller by the years. So in that way, we want to protect actually the residents surrounding the airport, also in the future years.
Thanks very much. Let's go on to Elaine, all the way from New York. Welcome, Elaine.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me this evening. It's always interesting conversation and presentations from well-based team of people. I just want to get just to make a comment on the particulate matter that was brought up. And I think Helene said that you weren't able to divide the aviation from the other environmental emissions. Well, Helene, we have done this in the United States, and the Dr. Huda from Tufts University was able, she's just done a few studies so far, and she's able to differentiate the emissions from, say, cars or trucks or whatever from aviation. So I think she would be a very good person for you to get in touch with. I could send John the information. I'm sure she would be very, very happy to speak to you about that. So we have been successful here. And as John knows, Debbie Wagner from at Washington University also did a study on particulate matter, and perhaps that would help Helene in your, your group here.
Yeah.
So I will send that to you, and I think that would be beneficial.
Yeah,
And thank you very much
Thank you
for
very
your work.
much.
It is
Yeah.
It is a joy. It is enormous what you're doing. So we thank you so much.
Thanks very much,
You're welcome.
Elaine.
Thank
And
you.
if as you send it to me, I can get it to Helena
Okay.
and to Kai.
Okay.
A number of hands up. I can't pronounce your name, but is it Launis from Stay Grounded?
Yes, it's Lunes, but that's fine.
Lunis, next time I'm getting closer. I'm getting
Yeah,
closer.
that's a weird French name. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, you're welcome anyway.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for your presentation, and a really big thank you both for the Dutch government and the NGOs working on those topics. It's like, from a European perspective, I think it's really, really precious and valuable to set a precedent and to be able to try to replicate this work in other countries with other collectives. So it's really thanks a lot for that. I had a question on the climate effect of and the climate relation. So, like, the balanced approach procedure is, for now, if I'm not mistaken, not including CO2 emission, but I know that the Dutch government is also having a legislative proposal to actually have a CO2 ceiling per airport.
Yeah.
My question would be, do you see that we could have leverage and that we could put pressure for new regulation from the European Union to include somehow either the CO2 in the balanced approach procedure, or have another regulation that we could use to try to, I don't know, cap airports or reduce flights based on climate emergency, along with and to be able to maybe more easily relate noise, air quality, and climate. I know it's a really broad and complicated question, but like,
No, je comprends bien. Je comprends bien.
what would be your advice for the climate movement to work on this?
Yeah. Maybe I answer in English for the other colleagues as well, right?
Yeah,
that's a relief, Helena. I'm a typical Englishman. Can't speak any
No,
other
that's fine.
languages.
That's fine. No, concerning your remark about integrate CO2, for instance, in the balanced approach procedure, I saw the colleague Jos Jonkers already say no, 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 no. And I would also, my advice would be very careful what you wish for. A balanced approach procedure is prescribed for a noise-related reduction on airports, and I would say already that is quite strict. That's a regulation that has been made to protect the air industry, not to protect you. To be honest, and in my opinion, that regulation should be revised in such a way that it also includes protection for you as residents, which it does not right now. It really is an economic regulation. What we are doing in the Netherlands in terms of CO2 ceiling, that's right. We are working on a CO2 ceiling, which in the end will also be part of phase 3, which is a norms-based system, as Kai just said, and the CO2 ceiling will be one of those norms that will cap the negative effects of air industry in the Netherlands. But as noise, that's very local. So in the end, if you really want to do something about the climate and about CO2, this is not something that we as a Dutch government can do for ourselves. So that's something that should be done globally, in my opinion, and that in the end, it would really help if other countries, both on noise and on CO2 and other effects, it would really help if other countries would support that. And what we see right now, because I said in my presentation that we notified, it's a notification at the European Commission and the member states, mind you, is a mandatory step in the balanced approach. in the end, also member states, so the other countries of the European Union must and can say something about our balanced approach procedure. And what we try to do is to make friends in Europe, so travel a lot and speak a lot also online with other governments. So at least they will be neutral in the end, but it would help us really if they would be positive towards us. Does it answer a bit? And it's a bit of
that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really useful. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. 3 hands up, Michael, Alex, Jos, and then I want to bring in Dominique, who's going to tell us a little bit about similar stuff that's going on in France. But Michael, you go first, and then Alex.
Yeah, thank you, John. I've got a question for Helene. I am reading this from my screen because this is actually a question from a colleague of mine who unfortunately cannot be here today. So I'll just read it out loud. Have you ever looked at EU Guideline 598/2014 concerning the balanced approach? So yeah, just write it down. You can check it later. I don't expect an immediate answer. What I read there is that a government must consider all possible measures to reduce noise pollution and take the most cost-effective combination of measures. Health and environment may also be included in these costs. And it's important to mention now that a pure social cost-benefit analysis, a MKBA, has never been carried out for Schiphol. So this was also evident in the recent lawsuit from RBV against the state. So if you are working on this balanced approach and you don't have this MKBA, how can we come to a combination of measures?
I'm not sure whether Kai, yeah.
Yeah, I think I can answer the question. Well, actually, the regulation, the number, the long number you're just saying, it's a regulation where the balanced approach procedure is prescribed. So we are actually following that regulation. And yes, indeed, part of the studies is doing like a cost effectiveness study from all the measures. And actually, we did that. And it's also in our notification document. So the document we sent to the European Commission and member states and third parties. Part of this cost effectiveness study was also environment. But the thing is with this cost effectiveness, it's all about money, actually, financial costs. So also the environmental aspects, they had to be, I think it's, I hope I'm using the right word, it's monetarized. So in euros. So actually there's a small part of this cost effectiveness study is environment, but we had to monetize it. And it was executed by an external consultancy company. So yeah, it's a mandatory step in the balanced approach procedure to do this.
But so the need for an MKBA is not there.
Well, it's not prescribed by the balanced approach. No. So it's slightly different. So we use some rules and some basic standards which are also used for MKBA, but it's slightly different. So that's what the regulation prescribes. The external company, the agency who did the cost effectiveness study for us, they're also experienced with MKBAs, so they had to get used to this new method actually. But it's slightly different, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Kai. Alex, Jos, Dominique, and then we'll go to Paul. Alex, on you go.
Right. I don't have a real question, more a remark.
Okay.
Helen, you had on the last slide question what what we think about this regulation. And you actually gave the answer already a few minutes ago, but I was thinking in between, it sounds like this regulation is just a bunch of hoops hanging really high for anybody to jump through to, in the hope to get the reduction of the noise pollution. So it's just a bunch of stones put in the way. If I imagine that in parallel alternative world in which the airlines have to justify the extension of their traffic at the airport, this would be much more protective for the population. So why does the population has to justify the limit of the noise impact? So here the somehow it's really the first who's got to have to provide the proof and to do the effort. So really, I feel sorry for you going through all these hoops, just being attacked by the airlines from all sides. I mean, you're right. It's made exactly for this, to burn energy and nerves in the end. So, is there any hope to actually to revise the regulation itself? And
yeah, there is. I can give a quick and short answer on it. Yes, there is. The European Commission announced that they will start to revise the slots regulation, and we are trying to have a revision of the balanced approach procedure as part of it. That's one thing. What we do as well is because this notification in the balanced approach procedure in Brussels is what you do with DG Move. So that's the transport part of the European Commission. But there is also other parts of the Commission, climate and environment, etc. And what in the end, it's a decision by the Commission as a whole, what will be the verdict on our balanced approach procedure. And we try to broaden the landscape and to talk also to the other DGs in Brussels, so that they can also influence the verdict in the end. But it's not easy. But if it would be easy, I wouldn't be here, because you wouldn't need me then.
There's some truth in that, Elena. Jos, on you go.
Yes, I would like to make 3 points related to what was discussed recently. First of all, on the regulation itself, the regulation comes from the European Commission and has, of course, been developed in agreement with the member states. Now, one of the basic pillars of the European Union, the European Commission, is the single market and the free movement of
people and goods,
services. Now, and this should be done in a competitive way, and competition should not be distorted. You know, it's free competition within the single market. Now, the Commission is there to protect these basic principles. And of course, with the lobbies of the airlines and other concerned parties, they have an easy case with the Commission to make sure that this is, you know, I would say, put into concrete, and that is what the balanced approach is all about. I want to connect it, the fact that this is maybe biased and that it should be broken up, hopefully with the support from climate and environment and health, public health and all these things. But it will take time, but because it is so much part of the central agenda of the European Commission. Now, I want to link this back with the ambitions of setting the objectives, the noise objectives. Because, you know, the balanced approach is there. It will take time before you can break it up. If you set, I would say, low objectives in terms of reducing noise, the balanced approach will definitely force you to go for measures 1, 2, 3, and say, okay, if you want to reduce it by 20% or 15%, those are the possibilities. You will never reach, or very difficult to reach, the 4th type of measure, which is the measure which you are in fact advocating, reducing the number of flights. So that's why I'd like to put it again on the table, because you know the consequence is exactly that. I just
Okay.
want to finish with a
Yes.
third comment, and that is on the CO2 ceilings, which is a very you know, we all would like to see this. This is a very valid and legitimate thing. The problem is that within the European Union, the airlines and the aviation sector is part of the European Emission Trading System, the ETS. So airlines are already paying or have to compensate for, you know, their CO2 emissions within the context of ETS, European Trading System, the Emission Trading System. And as long as that will be in place and you know, have an effect and impact on the airlines, it will be very difficult to put up ceilings, because you know, then you distort the whole system again. You know, you make aviation suffer more compared to other ETS sectors.
Okay, there's thanks, Jos. Quite a lot there, Elena. I don't know if you want to take
Yeah,
some
it's
points.
about it start with the balanced approach procedure and the noise abatement goal of 20%. What we see when you read a notification document, you'll see that there's still a cap of number of flights necessary to reach the goals in the Netherlands, at least. Yes, there are other measures that are more cost effective, and they take care of about, I don't know, 3 to 4% or something like that. Pi knows that more exactly than I do. But to meet the 20% goal, you do need quite a significant reduction of flights in the Netherlands. So I do not agree with you that that you have to set a higher goal to come to the measure of reducing flights. Our notification document proves that it is not the case. Now, what we did in the Netherlands, we have a goal of 20%, and we will, in the notification document, in the end, we only fulfill 15% of them. And that has a reason as well, because if we would have stuck to the 20% in the first step already, then we would not even have come to 440,000 flights per year, which was our initial decision. And these 440,000 flights per year, in our economic analysis, that is the bottom line to ensure the functioning of Schiphol Airport. So we would not want to go below that number of flights. And that proves that it is very well possible to have a cap on flights as one of the measures in the balanced approach procedure, also if you have a goal of 15 to 20%.
Okay, thanks for that. I mean, there's other points I think you raised, Jos, which we may come back to. I want to move on, if I may. Dominique, now, most of you will know Dominique. Dominique was my predecessor as chair of UECNA and chaired it for 8 years, but is still very active in the French scene. And what's happening in France, or soon, is very similar to what we've been talking about. So do you want to say a few words about that, Dominique?
Yes, thank you, John. Thank you for giving me a couple of minutes to inform everyone of what we're doing in France at the moment. Matt and Hélène, as we see aviation noise growing at airports, not only the big ones, but also the regional and smaller ones, the theme of the webinar today could not be better. France is in the process of balanced approach studies at 9 airports at the moment. And the expectations of the residents around these airports regarding operating restrictions are very high. We're looking very closely at what is happening in the Netherlands. Like everyone, you know, in Europe, obviously. And after the German minus 20% in 2030, we have the French let's cap aviation development in France. All airports need a maximum level of traffic. This is what we're claiming. Why? Because, as you said, you know, we need a cap to improve rather than worsen the health situation of residents, near airports and to follow the path towards our targets in terms of reduction of climate impacts. We need to reduce the noise, the chemical exposure in the air, and the greenhouse impact from aviation. We do not need promises for sometimes in 20, 30 years, not in 20 years, not even in 10 years, but we need this now and as soon as possible. So in the wake of the Dutch decisions regarding Schiphol Airport, other European states must take similar decisions. This will require political and environmental visions from our government leaders. They may not have reached this turning point yet, so we need to recall them of their objectives. UECNA last year initiated a movement which was called Let's Cap Aviation Day of Action. It was rather successful, especially in France. And this year, on the 13th March, there will be demonstrations at 20 airports. And on the 15th of March, we will march towards the Ministry of Transport in Paris. On a similar basis, over 130 towns affected by the pollutions from Paris Charles de Gaulle, Orly, Le Bourget, and Beauvais airports will launch a public consultation online from 11 March to 20th of March, with an event on the 17th of March, International Sleep Day. And the question will be, for the sake of people's health and for the climate, are you in favor of the reduction of traffic and an extension of the night protection at these 4 airports? And tomorrow, we will deliver a press release where communities around the 6 major European airports, Heathrow, Paris Charles de Gaulle, Frankfurt, Amsterdam Schiphol, Madrid Barajas, and Barcelona El Prat, will call on the governments and the European institutions to cap all European airports. If you belong to a group within one of these 6 airports, and if you wish to sign the call, it's not too late. Contact me. I will put my email address in fact, I'm doing it right now. I put my email address in the chat, and I will send you the call, add your name to the list of signatories. The movement started in Europe last year by UECNA. It is still active in France this year, including in the Belgium Liège airport, just in Brussels, maybe you could have followed. Hopefully next year, it will spread again throughout Europe. 20 French airports this year, just for France. We can reach 200 airports next year. That's not small. We're planting seeds, which will eventually grow in the minds of our politicians and in the public. The larger the call, the stronger the impact. So thank you if you want to participate. And thank you, John, for the few minutes.
Dominique, that was great. That was very passionate, and I think everybody on the call, you know, as you were saying, Helena, earlier on, the more other countries that are calling for this sort of thing, the more it helps yourselves in the Netherlands. So that was great stuff, and I think Dominique has put her details in the chat. Paul, you've been waiting very patiently, so on you go.
Yes, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. I don't think I have video connection.
No, we can hear you fine, Paul. We can't see you, but we can hear you fine.
Fine. I'm a Dutch journalist, and I have a simple question to Helene, sorry. When do you think that the European Commission is taking a decision on the Dutch balanced approach notification? When will that be, in your opinion? And what if this judgment or advice, if you will be negative? What will the Dutch government do then next, and the ministry, of course?
Paul, if you are a journalist, for me it's quite difficult to answer your question. I can answer a question it's a bit a formal thing, but I'm not entitled to answer questions of journalists who will write on the topic afterwards. Then I have to send you to our press department. I'm sorry for that. I can answer your question, but you are not entitled. Then I cannot entitle you to write about everything that I say here today. I didn't know there were journalists in the call at all.
Well, I'm here.
Yes, I hear what you
I'm
say.
sorry
but
for that.
Then, yeah, but if that's the case, then I have to stop the meeting.
No, it's a question. It's a question for the politicians, isn't it? I think. Okay, let's.
It's a pity. It's a pity you cannot answer my question.
Yeah.
No, but
because I will get it anyway.
I should have asked this question at the beginning, but I was in the opinion that I was here to speak to residents of airports, and I was not. I didn't know there were journalists on board.
Well, I surely hope that you are next time you will be more open to these subjects, because I'm a journalist and I'm writing for the public. So
yeah, sure.
I think the problem. I mean, I don't know the situation in the Netherlands, but I certainly in the UK, I think, Paul, the question you put to a civil servant, which Helena is, in the UK, I think the civil servant would have given you probably the same answer. You need to speak to the politicians. I know it's terribly frustrating for you as a journalist to get that answer, but I suspect that's the best we can actually do tonight. Alain, you've got your hand up, and I think you might have got back just in time to make your point. Alain, you need to unmute yourself first. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. Great.
Okay. Yes, I wanted. I'm back on one topic I've been putting on the table several times. We are talking about noise. I even hear the atmospheric pollution, but we don't speak about the pollution around the airports. It is a very important topic, with all survey demonstrating what is the impact of NOx, fine particles around the airports. We should put that together. It's not only a noise problem. The impact on health is as important with the pollution that about the noise. So I would recommend that we put that together. It would be very important for in front of the administration of Europe to use these two arguments at the same time.
Okay, Alain, thank you very much. I think we'll take that just as a comment, because I think it is almost time to end. But can I thank you all very much? Can I thank Helena in particular, also Matt and Kai, for really great contributions, which led to a really very good discussion. As I said earlier, this has been recorded, so it will go up on the UECNA website along, I think, with probably the presentations in the next day or two. It may not go up tomorrow, but by the end of the week, so that you can watch it there again, and of course other people can also see it. So we haven't got a date. We've got lots of ideas for further webinars. We haven't got a date for one yet, but what I was going to say is that this idea of this webinar came from our friends in the Netherlands, and you came up with an absolutely great idea. So if anybody else from any country at all has got an idea for a webinar that you would like UECNA to stage, just get in touch with us, because I think that tonight's worked very well indeed. So whatever time it is, and I can never work out what time it is in the other countries, but I just know we're so peculiar in Britain that we have a different time to everybody else. Whether it's summer or winter, we make sure we have a different time from everybody else. But as whatever time it is, I just want to thank you all very much indeed for coming and making what I think was a very, very thoughtful webinar. So thanks again, and good night.
Many thanks. Good night.
Thank you, John.